Alright, bring out your fake smiles and ukuleles, everybody. Because today is an apology video. Hello everybody, my name is Christian, and today we are going to be talking about the characters I was wrong about in Honkai Star Rail. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's begin. So when I say characters I was wrong about, what exactly does that mean? I'm mainly referring to characters that I basically didn't have as much faith in to actually be useful in today's meta. Or characters that I just had no faith in from the moment I saw them compared to other options, which, oh boy, I realized that there were a few more of those than I thought there was. I'm realizing, chat, I'm a bit of a hater, and you know what? I'm never gonna change, so hey, get used to it. On my little notepad here, I have a few characters written down where I have not been the kindest to them in videos, and there's actually a video coming out about one of them to kinda, apologize already, but hey, we're still gonna talk about that guy later today. So basically, I'm gonna talk about the character, talk about what I expected from them, and then say if it was like a positive or negative sort of expectation. Because there is actually two characters I'm gonna talk about today who I had much higher expectations for, and they have not really met them as of late. Those will be interesting, I'm sure, to many of you. Alright, with all that established, it's not really that much, luckily. Let's get into it. Let's pause real quick and take a brief word from our sponsor, LD Shop. With so many good characters coming out soon, many players simply don't have the jades they need to get them all. Now, if only there was a cheaper way to get top-ups for games like Star Rail and ZZZ. Well, that's where the sponsor of the video comes in, LD Shop. LD Shop is a safe and reliable top-up site for all your favorite games. They offer top-ups at a more affordable price than in-game, and can even activate your first top-up bonus if you haven't used it already. All you have to do is click the bundle you want, put in your server and UID, and your top-up will appear in-game shortly after. If you buy using my link as well, you can get a 5% and 15% coupon good for $50. Last but not least, if you consistently use LD Shop and spend over $80 for the month, you can get an Express Supply Pass completely free on your homepage. Use the link in the description or the pinned comment. Thank you so much to LD Shop for sponsoring. Let's get back to the video. So the first character that I'm going to talk about today is my tried and true classic. Yeah, let's talk about Boot Hill. So, Boot Hill. How did two of the statistically best Boot Hills end up in my Discord server? How? How did that happen so that I couldn't keep my bias against this character? Like, there has to be like a 1% this is the only timeline where that happens. Like, there's Boot Hill footage on screen right now. That's from one of them, and I have footage from the other one too. Like, how does that happen? This is the 1% timeline, genuinely. I cannot believe how this has worked out. So yeah, my opinion on Boot Hill has greatly swapped from what it used to be. And I knew that he was always capable of insane boss damage, he was capable of absolutely nuking targets, but in a game that was focusing so heavily on AoE and just like blast style encounters, Boot Hill just didn't seem to have that juice left in him to really contend with a lot of the other best characters. And in all fairness, he kinda doesn't in a sense. It's much more dependent nowadays, because now we've had a rotation with Hule, and Boot Hill is phenomenal against Hule. Boot Hill actually eats his lunch. Like, he cannot touch Boot Hill. However, then we have something like the Bug. The Bug, both the people that I'm talking about, both my friends, they both managed to beat the Bug with Boot Hill with pretty impressive clear times. The problem is that they have heavily invested Boot Hill teams, and it takes an insane level of skill and ability to play this character even remotely well enough to get that short of a clear. Because if you fuck up once, one of your characters is either dead or you have now fucked up your break window, which is the worst possible outcome. And it's that exact thing that makes me still always hesitant about Boot Hill, especially since it's like, you could just go Castress against the Bug and finish in like 3 cycles. So, that's not exactly, it's not exactly a massive downgrade there, especially since you just kind of mash E a few times and then you're done. Regardless, Boot Hill is such an absolute demon when it comes to certain bosses. and he's workable against many bosses. Like, I talked about this in videos before, but my favorite piece of trivia, they had to change Flame Reaver because players in beta just kept nuking him with Boot Hill and he would die in like 2 seconds, and then it would just ruin the whole boss fight. That is hilarious. That Boot Hill literally makes the devs rethink how they do bosses. Overall, while I'm still not the highest on Boot Hill, and I still don't recommend him to new players because, damn, the level of investment for Break specifically at this point is way too high, I do think if you are a player who has characters to make him work, which, by the way, all you really need is an action advancer, you get a free Ron May from the shop, and then you need Fugue. That's kind of it. Once you have that, you're kind of just set, and you can actually start having fun with him, which is actually not that bad. I would recommend getting Eidolons, but not that big of a deal. Either way, Boot Hill is genuinely such an impressive character that he's able to just still absolutely rip apart bosses better than almost anyone else in this entire game, and nobody can really take that away from him. So, hey, good on you, Boot Hill. That one is a big one where my opinion has changed because of personal experience. Oh, god damn you, Cookie and Leia. Alright, so the next character I'm going to talk about, we're going to knock out the other character that I always have to talk about with a video like this. Yeah, let's talk about that twink from the Grove, Anaxa. So, Professor Anaxagoras himself is simply just an anomaly of a character. And to this day, I really can't understand what they did in that room to think, yeah, he's definitely just a sub DPS. Like, I want to know what happened in the development room. Like, what happened while they were coding him? Because something had to go wrong. Like, surely we didn't mean to put the bounce on the skill that can auto-repeat itself. Like, that just doesn't add up, you know what I'm saying? When Anaxa came out, I was very adamant about the fact that he was a good character and that he would have the potential to be played as a main DPS. However, I 100% thought his best scenario would be as a sub DPS pretty handedly. I did not think he was going to be almost better off. No, not even almost. He is better off as a main DPS right now. And that is wild. He can be run with the Herda and still have a lot of effectiveness. The problem is, though, is that Herda is best in AoE fights, and we're starting to lose out on those a little bit. So now Anaxa is just pulling ahead as the superior character because he can literally just get away with any content. Like, are we being so for real right now? That's so silly. It is just incredible, the fact that he can do so much when he has basically one of the most, I'm not going to say basic because there's a lot of intricacy to his moveset. It's more the fact that his gameplay really does just boil down to, alright, ult or make sure that they have weaknesses and then just keep hitting E. That's it, you're done. And then he'll shoot another E for like another 300,000 damage or something like that, something stupid. And it's like, okay, well, that's the gameplay. Die. Like, what? Anaxa has really cemented himself as one of the best characters in the game, and straight up, that's not something I thought was possible. I really did not know that he was going to have this level of potential and ability. It really is just impressive. Like, there's nothing else to say. I cannot believe what this character has become, especially compared to, like, so many of the other erudition characters who were supposed to be, you know, somewhat good all around, like Argenti and Jade. Like, the fact that Anaxa is the one who actually climbed the mountaintop, just unbelievable. And they gave him such a cool and fun moveset as well to work with, like some of the best visual effects. Anaxa is simply just an anomaly of a character, and hey, that's okay because he is genuinely hilarious to watch go. I cannot describe how much I enjoy watching Anaxa cook. Maybe someday I'll get him. Probably not. So, next up on my list is actually another erudition character and another break character. Let's talk about Rappa. So I don't think it's a hot take to say, most people did not believe in Rappa when she came out. Rappa was set up to fail because she came out in 2.6 with the other banners behind her being Aventurine and Acheron, two of the most popular characters that entire update. And Acheron still being one of the strongest characters in the game at that point. How was Rappa supposed to compete with that? And then, let's keep in mind, Sunday and Fugue, they came out next. And while I'm not saying that people looked at leaks, I am saying a lot of people were really confident that Sunday was coming out soon after. I don't know what happened there, but, anyway, moving on. Rappa was set up to fail from the beginning, so a lot of people overlooked her moveset, and I will fully admit, I was one of those people. It wasn't that I thought Rappa would be bad per se, but Erudition historically was not good. We had Jade and Argenti as the paragons of Erudition. Like, are we being so for real right now? That's the best we got? With those two as your reps, you're not looking too hot, I've got to admit. So, I saw Rappa and I went, oh, well, I have Firefly. What do I need another break character for? And especially, what do I need a break character for who I don't think is going to be really too helpful overall? This got cemented further when I played Rappa in her story against the TV boss fight. I had to reset that fight 3 times because I did not understand what the hell this character was doing, and I was having zero fun. Now, this was also due heavily to the fact that that story was one of the worst in the entire game in my opinion, and I was really aggravated about having to play through it. However, does not change the fact I did not know what was going on. I was really struggling. And compared to somebody like Boothill, who Boothill made a slight bit more sense, I'm gonna be honest, Boothill did not make sense in, like, larger fights, but whenever you're fighting just one basic enemy and you can just skill and immediately kill them, it's like, oh man, Boothill's great. This character's easy. Boothill also took a bit of understanding. That character's messy. But Rappa felt so much worse than both of the other break characters to the point that I was just so jaded. I did not enjoy her at all. I moved on completely. So now let's fast forward a little bit. Rappa is probably the best overall break character in the game. She's not quite the boss nuker that Boothill is, and Boothill is the only character who doesn't require super break explicitly, even though it really helps him. Rappa still requires that. However, because of the emphasis on AoE content, Rappa was doing incredibly and has a lot of overall power in a lot of scenarios that was heavily overlooked at the time and even now. Because even now, people will think that Rappa is worse than both the other break characters when that's really just not true. Especially with the addition of Fugue in the game, who makes everything that she does so much easier, so much more efficient, and so much more rewarding. All in all, Rappa is a character that is going to continue to be overlooked, I'm gonna be honest. I think people just don't like her too much, and when you're competing against the paragons of characters that are Firefly, who is extremely popular and really shielded throughout the story, and you have Boothill, who people know is an absolute demon against certain bosses and can rip them apart with his bare hands, when you're just really, really good, that is sadly not going to be enough to really break a reputation of whatever Rappa has that people are just not interested in. And that's unfortunate, because Rappa is amazing and deserves the respect as such, and as one of the better characters in the game. So, the last two characters I'm going to talk about are kind of interesting. They're both action advancers, and I'm sure some of you can already see where I'm going with this based on past comments. Let's talk about Sparkle real quick. Sparkle is the interesting instance of a character was completely falling off, and in the sense of a tier list, she actually got so much better. Sparkle as a character has not improved and still has fundamental flaws. However, the character Archer coming out and being a massive, user of Sparkle means that Sparkle is now so much higher tier list wise, and now people don't really have to identify the flaws in her kit nearly as much. And you know what? I was literally saying I think Sparkle should be added to 50/50. I think Sparkle should be a Golden Companion Spirit character. I think Sparkle should be buffed. I was saying all these things not that long ago. And I would say I still stand on it, but it's hard to say that when Sparkle and Archer are one of the strongest duos in the entire game right now, bar none. It is incredible what those characters can do for each other, and how well the entirety of Sparkle's kit is used by Archer. It is an extremely rare sight to see a support be put to that much use and have almost their entire moveset, if not the entire moveset, actually have some sort of usability with a character. Some of the other best combos in the game, like a Goliath Sunday, even that does not compare to what Sparkle and Archer have in terms of synergy. So seeing that, it's really hard to say that, yeah, Sparkle is lagging behind. Sparkle is now a top character and is doing incredibly. And I did not think that that was ever going to be the case at this point. I'm going to be so honest. What Sparkle lacks compared to a lot of other action advancers, it felt like such a massive waste, and it felt like just a huge dock to who she was as a character. Now that we have like RMC and Sunday, you could just use those, and even then Bronya having a 100% action advance, in the case of like a Zero Cycle, that's more useful. And yet now, she's just standing tall. She's managing to actually persevere in this game. And while I don't think this is entirely my fault, because you can't really expect for them to add a perfect character for Sparkle, I feel like that's not entirely on me, I'm going to be honest. That does not change the fact that Sparkle is now very good after I've been downplaying her for a very long time. So, yeah, I just got to take the L on this one. We're going to keep this one brief. I lost on this one. I don't know what to say. So now, the last character, like I mentioned, is another action advancer, and it is Bronya. Bronya is interesting, because Bronya is, on paper, objectively, a good character. She is just severely outclassed by many other characters. Like, in terms of raw damage amount, getting an RMC true damage boost is huge. Getting a Sunday, like, 80% boost for your summon, that's huge. In terms of normal characters, though, Sunday provides less overall, but also provides energy and crit rate, which means you can build your characters differently to try and actually get the most out of that. And especially the energy is going to be super nice, too. When I was looking at all of these characters, I always thought there is no point to actually having Bronya built. And to some degree, that's still true, but now it kind of depends on your account, actually, instead of just being, oh, well, I probably don't need her if I have all these other options. Which, by the way, Bronya is almost always a good character to have built, especially if you start getting higher Eidolon levels. Basically, the moment you have E2 Bronya, you should really consider building her, like, without a single shadow of a doubt. That's something I learned much later on, so I digress, we're going to skip over that. The character Finon coming into the game was absolutely massive because it gave Bronya a very consistent home that is going to be super nice. Because even with Ceridra on the horizon, she's not out at the time but that I'm recording this, Bronya is still going to be a completely viable option for those teams. Because she has 2 selectable abilities. As long as you have that, you are phenomenal on a Finon team. It's not just that as well. Bronya can still work with the case of an Aglaya, she can still work with a Mighty, she can work with an Anaxa. She is still that consistent other option if you need one of your other characters elsewhere. Bronya is essentially the ultimate side grade character, which is funny considering she was the first character to really be great in this game. Funny how that happens, huh? So overall, while I still don't think Bronya is an incredible character, at least not in her base form by any means, she is not bad either. And right now, she offers something to a top team that you should be making use of if you aren't. And she can still be a good option for your other characters. And keep in mind, we got a 3-team endgame coming up. You know who could help you with that probably? Bronya. She can probably be a great asset to what you're doing there. This one is also going to be pretty short just because we've had Bronya in this game since very release. Everything that can be said about her has been said about her. I'm just doing this to basically, you know, amend my past comments and once again, really help people realize that this character can truly be very helpful to you and your account, and I don't want people to constantly overlook her like I've been doing for such a long time. That is a great character just sitting there doing nothing. You should try and make use of her, even if it's not a perfect fit, because you will probably gain something out of it, I promise. Alright, well, that's all the positivity out of the way. Let's get negative. Alright, so, fuck Aventurine. Some of you took that a very different way. That's messed up. So, Aventurine, in one of my most popular videos by far is in the sustain issue in Star Rail, I very boldly said that Aventurine was the best sustain in the game at that time, and that he would be for a very long time. And while that was accurate, Aventurine was indeed the best sustain in the game when I brought that up. He has, yeah, they actually found a way to make shields worse. I am shocked by that. I am genuinely shocked by how they actually managed to nerf shields with enemies specifically, and with new characters coming out. Let's dive a bit deeper on that one specifically. Think about some of the best characters we've gotten recently. Finon, Mighty, Castoris, the Herda, Aglaya. Most of those characters cannot make use of shields, or shields just aren't really the best. The HP scalers, if you don't have a healer, you're throwing. Like, objectively, you are throwing. In the case of Aglaya and the Herda, they can move so much that Aventurine shields might genuinely wear off. And that is the worst case scenario, because then your character is going to get hit, you're leaving them open to attacks, you lose, boom, you're cooked. Aventurine has not fit the best characters in the game for a little bit now, and as a result, he is not standing tall as the best sustain in the game anymore. The arrival of Hyacinth also has a lot to do with this, because Hyacinth is simply so good and so helpful in a lot of scenarios because she just offers more damage, she still offers a lot of healing, she can do so much. But there was a world where they still could have been, like, together in a top spot since they're so similar, but no, the game has simply walked away from Aventurine and made him more useless for a lot of recent characters. He's still really good in the case of, like, a Fei Xiao team who really loves what he does. He can still be useful in many other scenarios, like DOT as well. But right now, Aventurine simply does not have that same kind of utility that he used to, especially when you're looking at who are the best characters for the sustained category, Huohuo and Hyacinth. They both offer more to more teams at this point, and that kind of just leaves Aventurine dead in a ditch, unfortunately. As somebody who didn't have the character, but I had a lot of faith in him, it's kind of just wild to see. But at the same time, I think there's a world where we're going to switch back to a non-complete focus on HP, everything being HP related or drain related, and Aventurine is going to rise back up. It's the same way that Huohuo has always managed to remain relevant, in the fact that she just has such a unique kit that is so tailor-made for a lot of characters. Aventurine still offers incredible utility that will be helpful one day. But right now simply isn't really that time, sadly. Don't worry, buddy. You'll be back in the spotlight soon. I mean, I don't really care, but, like, hey, I know Aventurine players. Alright, and the last character I'm going to talk about today, once again, in the more negative sense, yeah, let's talk about Jiaoqiu. Jiaoqiu is one of the saddest cases in this game, because they simply added too many characters who can do exactly what he can do, and now he's been pushed out of his own niche. Jiaoqiu's main purpose as a character was to be with Acheron. He served her perfectly without fail. But now we have Cypher, and now we have buffed Silverwolf. Those characters are really good, and they offer a lot to a team. Jiaoqiu comparatively offers far less. He doesn't have the same damage capabilities as Cypher, and if you just want pure debuffs and all that, guess what? Silverwolf is phenomenal in that role. When you compare all of these characters, Jiaoqiu simply has the least utility out of all of them. He also works in the least amount of places. Like, his main spot is with Acheron, that's where he was best, because with the HP scalers, Tribby is far and away the best there for Mighty, Castoris, for Blade. Nobody else is really going to be using Jiaoqiu. Nobody else is really going to be using Jiaoqiu that adamantly when you have such better options available. And even then, he doesn't have the flexibility that a character like Cypher has. Cypher, you can kind of just throw places. Like, Cypher just works in random scenarios. Jiaoqiu, not so much. And while he still does his job incredibly of debuffing the enemies and making sure that, yeah, they have increased vulnerability, they take like 35% more damage and all that, it's hard to argue that over, oh hey, I have Cypher ult. This is going to do 3 million damage, fuck you. Like, it's hard to argue those two things. Jiaoqiu still has a pretty nice niche with Acheron, specifically in Pure Fiction, because every time an enemy comes in, they receive the debuff, which means, hey, infinite ult. But having a specialty in only one place means that you are probably not that great of a character. And that's where we're at with Jiaoqiu. For the longest time, I was kind of mad that I didn't have Jiaoqiu because I really liked Acheron, and not having him was ultimately the death of me playing Acheron. Like, I just hadn't really touched her much since then, which was super unfortunate because I love the character so much. Seeing how it's worked out, I have Cypher, I have Tribby, and I had an accidental Silverwolf, and she just happened to get buffed. Like, that's insane. Good luck for me, I guess. So now, it's kind of worked out, and Jiaoqiu isn't really needed as much, which is really unfortunate. What else are you going to do with him? He's a good substitute in a lot of cases, but even then, you have 3 whole options. You have, think about that. You have 3 whole options that you can pick over him. And then we can start getting into the wild options, like if you want to use Hysolins, she's not bad. Like, if we really want to get into that, he simply doesn't have any sort of weight in this game right now. Like, there's no reason to go grab him unless you actually like and want him. And that's not good. I hope that Jiaoqiu receives some sort of buff, or he gets made more readily available, just to kind of give his players something a little bit more to look forward to, or especially to bring him back into the game if he gets buffs. Like, that'd be delightful. But I just don't see that as happening, or at least not anytime soon, and that's really unfortunate. The poor Foxman deserves better, game. Please help him, Hoyo. Alright, and with that, that was all the characters I had written down. You know, it is hard to come up here and admit that, like, yeah, I was wrong a lot. But at the same time, it's important for growth, and it's important to kind of make sure you're staying in your lane, is to recognize your mistakes and try and grow from them. With the way this game is and how rapidly it changes, it's going to be hard to always be right. There's not going to be a single person who's always going to be right. And if they genuinely tell you or believe that they are always right, something's probably a little off there, because nobody is always right. All this to say, I will be wrong again very, very soon. Please forgive me when I am. Alright. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave down below characters you were wrong about, maybe. I would love to see, you know, what everyone else's opinions were. And yeah, I got more good videos coming out soon, so I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.